Okay, here we are in the Silhouette Studio, and I'm going to show you how we're going to layer some of our text over our anchor here. As you know, this is going to be placed on a canvas, and because our canvas is already white, I'm going to weed the outside here and actually leave the letters. So that's going to be our stencil. Now, because I'm placing hope on top of my anchor, I want you want to still be able to see this part of the P and this part of the O. So I'm going to go ahead and use my align tool. I'm going to select both the hope and the anchor. And I'm going to go to align vertically, center vertically. And I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. A little bit closer. Now I'm going to select hope, and I'm going to right click and go to offset, and I just want it to be 0.025, just a little bit of an offset, and you can hit enter or apply. There we go. And as you can see here, it has offset just slightly, and what that's going to do is leave this skinny offset portion here will be blue, just like my background, so you will still be able to see the inside of the O and the inside of the P that's overlapping with the anchor. But I don't need that on the H and the E, so I'm going to click the outside hope, and it's all considered one image still. So I need to right click and say ungroup. And now I'm going to click outside to deselect, and then click the outside H here and delete. Oops, that was actually the inside. Delete. And delete the outside there. And now I'm going to go nice and close in here so we can see what we're doing on the O and the P. Okay, we have our offset here, and that looks great, but what we do need to do is get rid of the offset on the exterior of the anchor. So I'm going to go to my knife tool here, and I'm going to go to outline, and I just want to make a small cut on the outside of the P to remove the offset, and the same at the bottom. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with the O. We're just removing the offset because we want the inside of the letter here. The inside of the O. Now we don't actually need to have the anchor cut through the P here, so I'm going to remove that portion also. What I'm trying to do is prevent it from making too many cuts that will make weeding difficult and therefore leave more room for error when I'm painting, because if I let this cut through, I actually want the P to stay there. So I'm going to use my select tool, select the outside of the O, the offset, and delete that. And I deleted the inside here, and now I want to remove the outside of the P and this inside cut line of the anchor. But you know what, it's still considering my anchor one big image, so I'm going to right click, say ungroup, and now that is by itself, so I can delete, and there we go. These little cut lines are okay. They're not going to mess anything up. That's not a big deal. If I wanted to be super precise, I could be, but you just have to kind of weigh how much extra work you're giving yourself here. Okay, and I also use my knife tool to cut the inside of the O here. Everything looks great. Looks like it's almost ready to send to Silhouette. I'm going to zoom out here, and I'm going to select all by dragging over it. I'm going to group all. So it's all considered one image, because what I'm going to do is check my measurements and make this to the size I need for my canvas. And my canvas is 12 by 16. And my current size is just over 5 by almost 9.5. So that needs to be a little bit bigger. First thing I'm going to do is go up here to Design Page Settings. And I'm going to change the height of my cut area. And we're going to change that to 18. So you can see it opens it up to where I can see how big my image is going to be. Now I'm going to go ahead, and since I grouped everything and everything's highlighted, when I scale this, it's going to scale the whole project, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. Now I know that I don't want this to be exactly 12 inches wide, because I like a little bit of space on the outside. So I'm going to take it to, let's see where this gets us. So that looks like it's about 13.5 in height, which is about right. And this is just over 7 inches, 7.25 for width. And I think that's going to look great. So I'm going to zoom out. Now, because I'm using the inside of the vinyl and not the outside, I don't need to leave myself a lot of room, because typically if I were weeding the inside of the letters and I was using this as a stencil, I would want more of the vinyl to be on the outside as kind of a cover for when I'm painting, so I don't accidentally paint the outside of the canvas. But this way we're actually leaving the letters and then painting the outside. So it's a little bit easier. We are ready to send to Silhouette to cut. So I'm going to go down here to Cut Settings. And I'm going to select Vinyl. Scroll down here for the specific settings. I'm going to bring my speed down to a 2. All the other settings look good. I'm using a ratchet blade. My vinyl blade will be on a 1. And when you cut out vinyl, and you can see, like, your cut mat is 12 inches by 12 inches. And my design is going to be 13.5 inches long. So there's no way I could take my vinyl off, tape it to my cut mat, and run it through the Silhouette to cut. I actually have to load the physical roll of vinyl. So I'm going to show you how I do that. Okay, so we're going to load my vinyl. Can't forget to plug in my Silhouette machine here. So this again is Oracle 631. That's what I use for almost every single project. I have moved in my roller, and it's really easy to do. You just release the bar and you give it a good grip here and twist so that the teeth come out of the notch, and you slide it down to the size of your vinyl. So if I was doing a really small size, I could bring this down to here, and then you just twist it back until the teeth actually lock into the notch. So you line up your vinyl right on this cut line, the blue line here. Don't forget to replace your bars so it's nice and stiff and it gives your vinyl some resistance. Push it right up against it and hit Load Media. Make sure that that line looks pretty straight in there. Sometimes it'll pull one way or the other, especially if you forgot to replace your bar. Make sure that all looks good, and especially for these larger cuts that are beyond 12 inches, you're going to want to make sure that you are very straight on your line. Otherwise your whole image could be slightly offset, and you don't want to put on the image or your vinyl crooked when you get onto your canvas. And I'm going to check to make sure my blade is set to a 1. pop that out there. It is at a 1. If it wasn't, you just use this little guy here, put him in there, twist until the arrow is lined up at the 1. Put him back in there and flip this over to secure it. Now we are ready to send to silhouette. I'm going to do a test cut just to be sure everything is cutting properly. That looks good. If I was really worried about it, I could make sure that I could actually peel up the vinyl, but I know that my settings are good, so I'm going to click Send to Silhouette.